All right, so I've got some black stain mixed up, and I'm using this, which is liquid stain from Color Tone. This is just black. I've mixed that with some white. I mean, not with white, but with just with some regular water, and you know, put some water in there, then just put some drops in there. And the first thing I'm going to do is I have I've sanded down my top some, and I'm just going to take a tack cloth here, and I'm just going to wipe down the surface, just because I don't want to be staining over the wood pulp. I just, you know, any leftover sandpaper or anything, I want to get all that off of here and just be staining the surface of the wood. As you can see, I got it all sanded off. That grain filler, especially on the end grain here, was a real bear to get off. But, you know, it did its job and it filled the grain, and I'm hoping that the effect I get from that is nothing short of spectacular. So let's just get this all wiped down, and then I'm just going to set it down here. And I've got a bag. I'm just going to stick this cloth in a bag here just to kind of keep it. These things are really sticky. I advise, if you're going to use one of these, gloves are not a bad way to go. All right, for my staining, I made this little thing right here. This is just basically some cut up old white cotton t-shirt, and I rolled a piece up in a ball, then took another piece, wrapped it around there, put a little rubber band. Now I've got a little staining pad. So I'm just going to go over this lightly with some black, and the purpose of this is to just get that grain to pop out a little bit more now. Hopefully this will just kind of settle in some of those darker areas, and then I'll sand it back and then start going over with the blue. So I haven't decided if I'm going to blue burst this thing or not, which basically means take it kind of darker around the edges and a little bit lighter in the middle, and I haven't decided that yet. Now this is, well, that soaked up all the stain I had in there. So let's go ahead and do this and start putting this on, and get this on here. Now this is a water-based stain, so you can push it around, go over top of it. You know, it shouldn't be too bad to make it. I'm gonna have to make some more of this really quick because my little applicator just sucked it all up. So hang on, I've got a little tray to put this in. I'll stick that in the little tray right there. I've got my water right here. Okay. And I've got my black. And I'm just gonna add some drops in there. Put the lid back on here. And then I'm gonna put the top on real quick and just give it a quick shake just to make sure that that color is mixed in with the water really well. Okay, the other thing I would advise is, if you're going to be staining, is to use gloves, because man, when you get stain on your hands, it stays. So there we go. That's about the same consistency too. That's about the same darkness that I had. So I mixed it up pretty well there the first time. All right. So we're just going to get this all covered in black here. I have to tell you, I'm very nervous doing this right now because I've never done this before. Never done the stain, especially, you know, I've stained wood before, but I've not done a piece of swamp ash, which is a very open grain wood and a very thirsty wood. And I'm hoping that the one thing of filler that I did was enough. If not, you know, I may have to take this body back down to wood on the top, and just, yeah, because see, I'm seeing some places here where it's just sucking this stuff in, and if that's going to be the case, then I might have to do one more application on the front and the back of this thing. I mean, so far it looks pretty good, but there might be a couple of places where it's just, you know, that filler didn't get in there and that stain is just sucking right into that grain. So we'll have to see. But let me get this finished first, because I want to get the whole thing on here. And then I've got another piece that I was working on, which was a piece of oak that I've been kind of testing some stuff with. And oak is another very open grain, kind of a porous wood. You know, oak, mahogany, ash, these are all very open grain woods. And you know, the problem with them is you kind of have to seal them to get the stain to not just suck down into the pores. Otherwise it looks like you've got, you know, missing spots of stain on your guitar. So like I said, this is first time doing this, and I just did the one. It was a heavy application, and it took me a long time to sand that sucker off. And I think the end grains will be fine because there was a lot in that end grain. It soaked it up really well. But this top, especially down here, it looks like I might have to do a second, but we'll see. I'm not writing it off yet. I'm doing another coat right now. It dries pretty quick, the stain does on the body. Especially I'm out here outside. It's actually not a very humid day. We actually got a nice day today. So there's a nice breeze. It's about 80 degrees outside. And so this ought to dry pretty quickly. So I can do a couple of coats on here. And that's actually pretty much dried on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start doing the rest of it here. And let's go ahead and do some staining here. So I'm just Alright, so basically that's the first coat done. You can see there's a little bit comes off when I rub on it. And you know, if I wanted to take it down a little bit more, I could actually use a wet cloth, and you know, because it's water based, it'll kind of lighten up the stain a little bit. But because I'm going to actually sand it back, I'm not going to worry about that. So let's go with this for the moment. And then we will come back after a little bit of sanding. I'm going to let this dry for an hour or two, and then we'll come back and sand it back, see what it looks like, see if we're going to do a little bit more black, or maybe we'll move on to some blue, or heaven forbid, I got to fill some more. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a break here and then find out when I come back.